Hello everyone, Marjorie Roman here, and we have the amazing Tijani in the house talking us about short-term rentals. Thank you for coming on
No
today.
worries, no worries.
And today we're going to talk about money, super sensitive topic. So first of all, what are some of the upfront costs that come when starting investing into short-term rentals?
Yeah, I mean, you know, the main cost and the biggest thing, it depends on how you go into it, right? First of all, if you co-host, then none.
That's what we like.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? If you co-host, then none. I'm talking about just from a business operator. Yeah, you got to spend money to get your LLC, right? You got to, spend money to, you may need to, purchase a few things for your business and, things like that. On the arbitrage side, the first probably dollar you're going to spend is for your lease agreement. You're going to have to put down a first month's rent and security deposit or whatnot, depending on your negotiation. We like to negotiate the first month's rent or the security deposit, one of the two. But realistically, let's just assume you got to pay both. So understand you got to have that on top of your furnishing costs as well. And, a lot of people ask me, like, well, teacher, how much does it cost to furnish my unit? Well, it depends. My question to you is, who are you serving? Because even if, say we have the same unit, the same type of property, my property will probably cost a different amount to furnish than your property, even though maybe we even have the same style or we buying the same level of quality furniture. There's still going to be some offset because I may be serving a different demographic, and I'm gonna put additional things in my units that you probably won't, or you may be serving somebody that you're going to put additional things in your unit that I won't. So it really depends on how much that's going to be. I remember when I first got started, I was told to budget $25 a foot to furnish your property. I did the math. I said, wait a minute.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of freaking money. So wait, if I got 1,000 square foot, it's going to cost me $25,000 to furnish
That's
it.
A lot.
So no. And I was told that because it was very conservative. But at the end of the day, I tell people like, if you budget $10 a foot, you'll probably be in good shape. If you want to be conservative, say like $12 a foot. But, we get it done for even a lot less than that. But of course, we've built great relationships with local furniture stores. We have these business accounts we get good deals on. We order in bulk. And so we get good deals. We can get it furnished a lot cheaper than that. But, that might be a good base for a lot of people that's just wondering what to budget to even start with. And so when it comes to that, that's pretty much what you're going to expect. Now, if you own the property, depending on how you own it, you still have to put a down payment down and still furnish it, right? So that's additional capital. But people that plan on putting a down payment down on the property to make it a short-term rental, they expect it. They know that that's what they're getting into. If you like to buy your properties the way I like to buy my properties, creatively or leveraging capital, or leveraging private capital, and then there's no money out of your pocket to purchase, but you still got to furnish it. Then if you're really trying to get gangster, you could factor in your furnishing costs into the deal. So that way your furnishing cost is covered as well. That's a gangster play though. So,
How do you do that though?
That's a different conversation. No, but what we do is see, like, for example, say we do one of our BRRRR deals. Our BRRRR deals, when I'm talking about BRRRR, I'm talking about BRRRR, which is buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and repeat, which a lot of real estate investors are familiar with that deal. We buying a property ugly, we are fixing it up, and then we're refinancing it after it becomes beautiful. What we just do is during that fix-up process, we just factor in our furnishing cost in it. So that way we are literally getting the furnishings funded in the loan. Because once the rehab is done, the lender's gonna send you that money back. And you can use that money now to furnish the property. And there's still no money out of your pocket. So there's ways to get it done. But yes, that's kind of what to expect when you talk about capital investing for sure.
That's right. And there's always ways to finance any sort of furnishings or any other repairs that you need to do within your properties. Now, I know that as in any business, there's always tax deductions and things that you can take advantage of that the government literally sets in place to protect you guys as business owners. So what are some of the tax deductions that you have seen when doing short-term rentals?
Sure, that's a good question, my CPA. But I will say, if you're structured properly, yes, you could write off a lot of your expenses. A lot of folks don't know that the service fees that they pay can be a tax deduction.
Oh,
You know what
wow.
I'm saying?
No
So you
way.
just got to have the right setup and the right CPA. But I don't know all the nuances of the tax side and what's deductible, what's not. A lot of times it can't be case by case, case by case. It could be depending on how your entity set up, things like that. So definitely. But I would say this though: I took way too long in my business, and I mean way too long, to worry about bookkeeping. I'd recommend getting a bookkeeper or at least start tracking your expenses. And from a tax perspective, even if it's on a spreadsheet or something like that, I was just so gung ho about my business. I was just like, I just went, and I was just trying to make some money, and I was trying to grow this business. Now the bookkeeping side, I'll get to it later. I worry about being organized. Let me just get
Outsourcing.
to the bag. You know what I'm saying? I was just, and honestly, I waited too long. Like by the time I hired a bookkeeper, the amount of work it took to just get everything that I've been doing and get it all organized. And oh man, that was a nightmare.
Start early.
Oh yeah, start early. Even with one unit, you can start at the very beginning because it's not going to cost you that much with one unit, right? And your bookkeeper's not going to charge you an arm and leg to just help you manage your books on one unit. So I recommend bringing a bookkeeper in early in the game.
That's right. And at the same time, I feel like a bookkeeper or a CPA would be able to let you know, at least for that one unit that you just started with, what tax deductions you currently have. And that gives you kind of an idea of how many other benefits you could get from the government as a business owner when you start
Absolutely.
scaling up your business. Also, I know that any other business, they always require a certain insurance. So, do you have an insurance for your short term rental properties? And if so, how does that work?
Yeah, the insurance you want is definitely there's insurance for short-term rentals. And
Oh,
the
wow.
truth is that the insurance short-term rentals, a lot of people, it is more expensive for one. It's more expensive than a regular rentals policy because this isn't a regular rentals policy.
I mean, there's so much variables in there.
Oh, it's
No
a lot of
kidding.
variables. There's so much that can go wrong, right? And the key is having the right insurance because you're gonna need it. I've been sued twice, right?
Oh my
They didn't
gosh,
go
wow.
anywhere, trust me. I had a lady that literally she slipped and fell. She rode her bike in our unit and she slipped and fell outside the gate. She wasn't even
Oh my
inside the
gosh.
inside the complex, and she decided that she wants to hold me liable for it. Of course, it didn't go anywhere. She was wanting to her hospital bills paid for because apparently she had to go get in an ambulance.
Oh, wow.
so, so of course it didn't go
Must have been a
anywhere.
really big fall.
Yeah, it
No
was. It
kidding.
was.
Wow.
She hurt herself. But it turned out okay. And so you want to make sure that you're insured properly. A lot of folks, a lot of hosts make the mistake of thinking a regular traditional renter's policy might be protecting them when in reality it's not. A lot of hosts also make the mistake of thinking that Airbnb's policy protects them when it doesn't. Understand, Airbnb's policy, they have this like, $1 million guarantee or whatnot, but they're as good as making sure that you get paid when you file claims, which even that's not guaranteed. When something major happens, right? It's really, really, I don't know if you should depend on insurance that doesn't have your name on it. Okay, the insurance does not have your name on it. You're not there. You won't necessarily be there. What do you call it? When somebody,
Beneficiary, I
yeah,
guess?
like your beneficiary or have fiduciary responsibility. They don't necessarily have a fiduciary responsibility to you, right? So that's one thing you got to definitely keep in mind when it comes to that for sure.
Especially because when it comes to a lawsuit, they're doing the lawsuit on your name. They're not
Yeah,
doing it on Airbnb or
exactly.
VRBO
No,
or all of these other companies. It's you, so you got
it's
to
you
protect
or
yourself.
your business. Yep.
So now, how much can someone make realistically doing short-term rentals?
There's no way I could just tell any one person listening how much they're going to make because it's so many things that it depends on. Are you even a good host, right? I was telling one of my friends that, man, I noticed that I always outperform the numbers on AirDNA because AirDNA is like, unless you run comps and stuff. So I always outperform AirDNA's numbers. So I tell my students like, hey, like I like use AirDNA because if you like the numbers there, then run the play because it's very likely you'll outperform them. And he was like, man, I don't know if you should tell them that because your units are outperforming AirDNA. That don't mean theirs are, right? So I say that to say that it's too many factors that it depends on. We can have the same exact property and I can still take your lunch because I'm a better host, right? So when you say what do I expect, I don't even know who you are. Like I don't know if you're a good host. I don't know what systems you have in place. I don't know if you're attentive. Like so. And other than that, the ADRs are different. Different markets have different ADRs. I was showing Jonathan yesterday about how I was showing him a listing of a friend of mine that has one house. It was 18 bedrooms, and he makes 40,000 a week with that and with one house. So it's hard to say how much you would make. I don't freaking know. So it just depends, right? It depends. What you want to look at is your ADR, your average daily rate, right? Because some markets have higher ADRs than others, right? So, a house, and that property's on a beach too, right?
Oh.
It's a beachfront property that has a pool and all that. But a house in Houston, even if it was that big, I don't know if it's going to command that kind of money, right? Because the ADRs in Houston are less than beachy vacation markets area. So it really, really does depend.
So if anything, I guess the best advice would be look at pretty
Do the
much
research.
what your market
Do
is
the
doing.
research
Yeah.
to see. Before you even commit to a property, you should have a pretty good idea what to expect. You should have a pretty good idea what kind of demand there is in that particular area. That way you can make a well-informed decision.
That's right. You don't want to put an Airbnb in the middle of Kansas. There's just a whole bunch of nothing, and you don't want to do that. Just do your research.
You know
and
what?
make
You'll be
sure.
surprised.
Oh, really?
A lot of places like some of these secondary markets and some of these kind of, small towns that you will be like, ain't nobody traveling there for whatever, do well.
Oh, wow.
Because people don't think outside the box of to why somebody will come there. There's an airport there for a reason. People fly there for a reason.
And who knows, maybe your Airbnb listing could turn into a landmark for the city.
It could.
Yeah.
Right?
You just have such a great Airbnb property there that everyone's like, I want to go to that one
Absolutely.
crazy spot just for that Airbnb.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, when it comes to Airbnb and all of these other sites, how much does Airbnb make from your listings?
Oh, it depends. And they've changed their fee structure a couple times. I think they're charging guests like 15%, 13%, something like that. Hosts are still getting charged about 4%, or 3%. I gotta check. When you're so hands off, you forget certain things.
That's the spot where we want to be.
Yeah,
So,
exactly,
we want to get to that place.
So they always, and that's why, that's another reason why it's always a great incentive for a guest to book direct with you. They don't have to pay that 15% fee, which is not a small fee. That's not a small fee. So
Especially if it's multiple nights.
absolutely,
I mean, it adds up.
Absolutely. That adds up quick, actually. So, a lot of times these the OTAs, it depends. VRBO gives you two options. You can pay a fee, or you can just pay a flat yearly fee. You could pay a percentage fee per booking, or you could pay a flat yearly fee. So Booking.com charges a percentage fee, and they invoice you, right? They pretty much send you an invoice to pay based on their fees. So that's kind of what you could expect. 15% to the guests, 13 to 15 to the guests, about 3 to 4% to the host.
Gotcha. And would that money come directly then from the guest, or would it be also from guest and host?
You said would it come directly? So
Yeah.
yeah. So say if the guest total is $500, 15% goes to Airbnb. If what I'm gonna make is $500, then 4% goes to Airbnb, right? And they take it from both sides. Every reservation, they take it from both sides.
Oh, wow. So might as well just have them book directly with you.
Exactly.
And that's also when it comes in handy to have a website yourself for your listings.
You should, and you can get a website for yourself a lot quicker than you think too, because these sites, you can have channel managers that have websites built into them, website features built into the channel manager. So even with a small amount of listings, you can still get a website 100%.
And definitely allows you to generate more income that is not going to get a little cut from all of these OTAs.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much again, TJ. And thank you to our audience for staying tuned to this episode. And we're going to see you on the next episode where we're going to talk about a little trick that you can make for increasing your profits on short-term rentals. We'll see you.
Peace.